Started. What? Started with the doc. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Just tried to get on a little bit earlier because I noticed it's been taking additional time to get into Zoom. I assume it's good morning. I assume it's due to the increased use after especially what happened this past Sunday. Okay, so we'll wait another, I think Erwin was still going to join us. We'll wait another minute or so and then we'll get underway this morning, all right?
Time for me to get a cup of coffee. Okay.
Okay, Ted. You can have one for me too.
Okay.
Okay, let's. Okay, we'll wait just another minute and then we'll get underway. Harvey, just a quick, I remember you mentioned to me that you conducted a meeting on Zoom over at Ainsley, right?
Correct.
How did that work out all right?
It was good, but I realized we had timed out, and I forgot to tell everyone, when you get timed out, wait about 90 seconds, then go back in, and we opened it up again. So it worked out fairly good. We conducted the whole board of directors meeting. Not
Okay.
bad.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I may try to have a education committee meeting via Zoom. That's why I was asking.
Right. It can work. It can work.
I assume so. Okay, Erwin is here. Erwin, you okay this morning? We're going to get underway. All right.
All set.
All set. Okay. So we are on Ayin Daled, Amud Aleph, 7 lines down from the top. Okay. With a braita that sort of moves us in a slightly different direction. Up to now, remember, we were discussing the Mishnah that listed the 39 main categories of work. And when a particular category was suggested, the Gemara's discussion brought parallel, I'll call it, other labors and gave and asked about those if they were under that main category. The Gemara then went ahead and then suggested, well, what about the following? What about the following? And the last example we had was in regards to what we said was kotesh, was pounding the bran. Okay. Now the Gemara is going to take us in, as I said, a slightly different direction. Okay. And I'm going to suggest that part of the reason that it goes that way, that it really fits in as a side discussion. Okay. You'll go back and remember that in the Mishnah, it talked about a number of situations, particularly after it discussed, let's say, sowing and plowing and reaping and gathering in piles and threshing and sifting, so to speak. So we're now getting into that topic of sifting, borer, selecting, things of that nature. And that's why I'm connecting this side discussion in the Gemara to what we've seen so far. Okay? All right. Tanu Rabbanan, says the Braita, our rabbis taught, Hayu lefanav minei ochlin. He has before him a variety of foods, right? Borer v'ochel. He can select and eat, right? Borer umaniach. He can select and put aside. V'lo yivror. Okay? But he must not select. Right? Seems contradictory. How can on the one hand you say, okay, dealing with Shabbat, that you can put certain foods away or even store certain foods, but shouldn't do that. Ve'im berer chayav chatat. And if he did put them, select, okay, he must bring a chatas. My kamar, what is this talking about? Okay, and we're going to see now quite a number of chachamim attempt to give explanations to this braita. In every case, nearly, of their explanation, we see that they have to come up with a statement or an idea that something about the braita is missing or incomplete, and therefore they have to sort of read something into the braita. Okay? First example, Amar Ula, says Ula, Hachi Ka'amar. This is what it's talking about. Borer v'ochel lebo bayom. Okay? That he is selecting and eating something for that day. In other words, he is for that particular Shabbat. Right? Uborer umaniach lebo bayom. Okay, and again he selects and puts something aside for that same day. Ulamachar, but for the next day, lo yifror, he should not select. Ve'im berar chayav chatat. But if he did, then he must bring a chatas offering. So that's Ula's suggestion. We get to now a second example. Mat kifla Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda challenged him and said the following: V'chi mutar la'afot lebo bayom. If you say that borer there is dealing with on that Shabbat, what about any of the other av melachot? Is it permissible, for example, to bake on that day? V'chi mutar levashel lebo bayom. Was it permissible to cook on that day? Ela amar Rav Chisda. So Rav Chisda says the following: Borer v'ochel pachot mikashior. He selects and he eats less than the minimum measurement, okay, and that less than a grogeret, a dried fig bulk. Borer umaneach pachot mikashior. Okay, again, he selects and he puts aside less than a minimum shiur. Ukashiur, but if he were to do so for the grogeret, for the dried fig bulk, lo yivror, he should not select it. Ve'im borer chayav tat. And if he does select it, he must bring a chatas offering. Okay? That was the second example. Third example, right? Matkif, third attempt at explaining the Braita, the Tanu Rabbanan Braita. Matkif la Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef challenges it with V'chimutar la'afot pachot mikshior. Is it even permitted to bake less than the minimum amount? Right, less than the shiur? Ela amar Rav Yosef. But rather Rav Yosef says as follows, his explanation, Borer v'ochel bayad, that one is permitted to separate it and eat it using their hand. Borer umaniach bayad, one is permitted to separate and to put it aside by hand. Bekanon, however, if he uses some sort of like a tray, ubetamchui, or he uses a plate, lo yivror, he should not separate it. Ve'im berar, in other words, and if he does use those, let's call it for the moment utensils, right? Right? Patur, he's exempt, aval asur, but it's forbidden. Ubanafa, okay, with a kind of sieve, ubekavra, and with a sifter, a basket that's used for sifting, lo yivror, he should not separate it. Ve'im berar, and if he did, chayav chatat, then he must bring a chatat. Another attempt to explain with another example. Matkif la Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna challenged the following. Midi kanon v'tamchui katani. Does, in any place, does our Mishnah, our Braita really, talk about any kind of a basket or any kind of a tray or any kind of plate? Where does it teach that? Ela amar Rav Hamnuna, says Rav Hamnuna, borer v'ochel, ochel mitoch hapsolet, that it's permissible to select and eat the food from the waste material. Borer umaniach ochel mitoch hapsolet, and it's permissible to separate and set aside the food from the, let's call it waste material. Psolet mitoch ochel, but the waste material from the food, lo yivror, one should not separate. And by the way, that's the halacha. Ve'im berer chayav chatat. And if he does separate it, he has to bring the chatas. Again, a further attempt to explain it. Matkif la Abaye. Abaye challenges as well. Okay? And what is he going to say? Midei ochel mitoch psolet katani? Is there something here where it talks about taking food from waste or non-edible? Okay, is that what it teaches? Ela amar Abaye, says Abaye, explains it this way. Borer v'ochel la'alter, that he can separate it and eat it for immediate use. Borer umaniach la'alter, he can separate it and set it aside for immediate use. Ulabo bayom, but for that day, later on, let's say something at lunch for Shalashudas, okay, lo yivror, he should not do that, not separate it. Ve'im barer ne'aseh keborer la'otzar, and if he does separate it, it's as if he is separating it for la'otzar, for let's say for later consumption, to store it specifically for some later time, the chayav chatat, and therefore he is obligated to bring a chatat. Now, Amruha Rabbanan Kame de Rabba. Other rabbis came and they told the explanation, particularly that of Abaye before Rabba. Amar Laho, and he said to them, Shapir Amar Nachmani. That is well said by Nachmani. Nachmani, remember, was Abaye's name since he was raised by his uncle, Rabba bar Nachmani, who did not want to use the name of his own father and gave him the name Abaye like Abba. Okay. All right, we go on now. Since we talked about sifting, separating, things like that, a new topic, but again, in that category. Hayu lefanav shnei minei ochlin. The person has before them two kinds of food. Be'rer va'achal, ube'rer v'hiniach. Okay, he separated and ate it. He separates it and puts it aside. Rav Ashi matne patur. Rav Ashi teaches that the person is exempt. Okay, not guilty. Rabbi Yirmiyah Midifte matne chayav. And Rabbi Yirmiyah Midifte says he is obligated. Rav Ashi matne patur. Rav Ashi says he is exempt. Bahatani chayav. Okay. But isn't it taught that in that case a person in our Braita would say he's culpable, right? He's guilty. Lo kasha, says the Gemara. It's not necessarily difficult. Ha, b'kanon v'tamchui. In one case, he's simply using the tray or the plate and actually using his hand to separate the item. Ha, benafa v'kavra. In the other case where he is chayav, it's where he's using a basket as a sifter or a sieve of kind. In other words, a particular utensil, dafka, made for that specific purpose. Ki ata Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came, Amar Shavta de Rav Bibi Havai, tells us a story that it was Rav Bibi's Shabbat. He was hosting the sages for Shabbos meal, right? V'iklau Rabbi Ami v'Rabbi Asi. And two of the sages, Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi, happened to come. Shada Kamayu Kalkala Dapiri. And he put before them a basket of fruit, and the fruit was recently picked, so that on it was still some leaves and some stems. Velo yadana imishum de savar ochel mitoch psolet asur. And they didn't know, okay, whether it was forbidden to eat it, because then they would be taking the edible food from the unedible, from the waste, and that's forbidden. Imishum ayin yafeh hu de mechavein, or simply was trying to show that he was generous in offering them such a bountiful fresh fruit. Okay. Let's go on to another example. Chizkiah Amar, says Chizkiah, Haborer turmusim mitoch psolet shelahem chayav. One who separates, who picks lupines, right? And remember, lupine was a kind of plant that had a long stalk, and it had the if you want to call it fruit or the grain, was in kernels. And you had to boil the kernels first in order to soften them, in order to open it up to get at the fruit or the meat inside. Okay? So he says, one who selects these, who separates these, picks them, okay, after they've been boiled, to remove the fruit from the husks, okay, from the outside area, is chayev. Okay, lema kasavar Chizkiah. Does this seem to tell us that Chizkiah is of the opinion, ochel mitoch psolet asur, that taking food from the unedible, the waste part, is forbidden? Gemara tells us, shani turmusim, that the turmusim, the lupines, are unique. Why? Let's go over to the next Amud. The shalke le shiva zimne, because they must be boiled 7 times. In other words, numerous times to soften them. Ve'ilo shalke le, and if he doesn't boil them enough, misrach, they're going to rot. Ukpsolet mitoch elchel dami, and then that the end result would be taking the waste, okay, the uneatable portion from the edible portion. Okay, now we come back to, in the Gemara, to examine again some of the other av melachot. Okay, so we said vahatochen, right? That was the grinding, right? Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa, Hai man de paris silka, a person who's going to chop very fine, okay? Dice, if you will, okay? Beets, chayav mishum tochen, is chayav chatas because of the grinding. Amar Rav Menashe, says Rav Menashe, Hai man de salit silte, one who cuts wood chips, right? And he may want them for fuel, right? Chayav mishum tochen. He would be chayav achatas, again, because of grinding.
Right? Rabbi Green, is this all because it's Shabbos?
This is all because of Shabbos, right?
Everything we've been doing so far is all
right. All of these, remember, are prohibited labors on Shabbos. Exactly. Okay. Amar Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi, I kapid amishchata. If one is strict about the size, chayav mishum mechatech, then also, says Rav Ashi, he would also be obligated to bring mechatas on Shabbos, right, for desecrating Shabbos because of cutting up, right? So you could have an act, the Gemara is telling us, where the same act would be over on 2 different av melachot. And that's going to be significant because as we continue now with the Gemara, we're going to see that other sages are going to perhaps suggest the same thing. Next example of an av melacha. V'halash v'ha'ofer, one who kneads the dough and one who bakes. Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa, Shavak Tana Didan Bishul Simamamin. Our Tana omitted the whole issue of cooking up or heating up spices for the purpose of dye. Okay, D-Y-E. Dahava b'mishkan, which was something they did at the time of the Mishkan. V'nakat ofer, and remove baking, he says. So the Gemara says, in response, Tana didan, Sidur de pat nakat, that our Tana shows to discuss the order of making bread. Okay. Now, what act of making bread could have been in the Mishkan? We know that there were meal offerings. We know there was lechem apanim. Okay. We know that there was bread there. Amar Rav Acha. It says Rav Acha bar Rav Avira. Okay. Haiman deshada sichda la'atona. Okay. A person who throws a peg, like a tent peg, a small piece of wood that was used for that, into an oven or a stove. Chayav mishum mevashel. He would be chayav on the issue of cooking. Now, we might think that seems strange, but let's go on for a moment. Pshita, mahu detema. That's obvious. What does it want to tell us? L'sharure mana ka mechave, right? What he's doing then is actually hardening the utensil, is his intent. Okay, in other words, if he had an earthenware stove, okay, to finish the work and to make it harden, okay, stronger, they would heat something inside it. Kamash malan, demirpa, rafe, vahadar kamid, comes to teach us that if it was soft, okay, right, he would then come back and heat something in it, okay, so it would be hardened, would be stronger. Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna says the following: Haiman da artach kufra. Okay, a certain person who might boil pitch. Chayav mishum mevashel. Okay, again, he would be have to bring a chatas, right? For cooking. Pshita mahu detema. That's obvious. What is he trying to tell us? What do you want to learn from this? Kevan dahaksher dahadar veikusha emelo. I might have thought that in this case, right, since he was since it was hardening again already, he wouldn't be liable, right? He wouldn't be guilty. I might say no. Kamash malan. Okay, here in this case also, it tells us that's not the case. He would be chayav. Okay? Another example, okay, in this point, right? Amar Rava, says Rava, Haiman the avad chavita. A person who might make a clay barrel, chayav mishum sheva chataot. Okay? He would be over on 7 different av melachot, and he would have to bring 7 separate chatos offerings. And I'm just going to spell this one out, right? Number 1, okay, when he makes the clay barrel, the earth, he crumbles the earth, okay? So that's grinding. Number 2, he has to pull stones out of the earth, right? That's borer. Number 3, he has to knead the mortar. Number 4, he has to cut the mortar into pieces, okay? Number 5, he has to build a mold. Number 6, he has to kindle a fire. And number 7, he's over like baking because the vessel has to harden in the kiln. Okay? So that's where most of the Meforshim get 7 different avot melacha for doing that one act. Now, tanura, okay, if he does it in a oven, chayav mishum shmona chataot, then he would be over on 8 different chatos. Why? Because he would be adding an act of smoothing, okay? by putting another layer of mortar on the barrel when he puts it into the oven. Amar Abaye. So we get another example, a different topic. Hai man, the avad chalta, a person who does a wicker basket. Okay, right? You know, he reads and he folds them and everything. Chayav echat esrei chataot. He would be obligated in 11 different avot malachot, 11 different examples. And I'm not going to list them all, but we can imagine, right? Ve'i chayte lefume. And if he was to sew up the opening of the basket, chayav shlosh esrei chataot, then he would be obligated on 13 different examples, chataos, right? Okay, so the wicker baskets, for example, could be used for catching fish. It could be used for other purposes as well. Okay, now we get to another, example from our Mishnah. Hagozez et hatzemer v'hamilavno. One who shears the wool and whitens it. Okay. Amar Rava bar Chana Amar Rabbi Yochanan. He says, Hatove tzemer she'al gabe bahema b'Shabbat. Let's say one spins the wool directly from the back of the animal, okay, on Shabbat. Chayav shalosh chataot. Sorry. He is obligated to bring 3 chataos. And he spells it out. Echat mishum gozes. 1, because it's like shearing. Okay. Ve'echat mishum minafetz. 1, because it's like combing. Ve'echat mishum toveh. And 1, because of spinning. Rav Kahana Amar, says Rav Kahana, Ein derech ziza bechach. That's not the normal method of shearing an animal. Ve'ein derech menafetz bechach. And that's not the normal method of combing the animal. Ve'ein derech tavoi bechach. And that's not the normal method of spinning. Velo, asks the Gemara. No. Vahatanya mishmei the Rabbi Nachanya. But haven't we taught a Braita in the name of Rabbi Nechemia? Shatuf be'izim, if one washed the goats, v'tavu be'izim, and then one spun the wool of the goats. Alma, this seems to imply, therefore, Tavia al gabe bahema, shma tavia, that spinning the wool off the animal directly is still considered a kind of spinning. Chachma yetera shani. So the Gemara's answer is that is a special kind of wisdom. In other words, that's a special skill. That's not the ordinary method, and therefore that's different. Okay. So the person would not be chayav, perhaps, in that case. New Braita. Okay. We get another example. Still in the general categories. Tanu Rabbanan, the New Braita teaches, Hatolesh et hakanaf, one who plucks feathers off a bird, Vahakotmo, or snips the tip of the feather, Vahamorto, or plucks a piece of the feather. Okay. Chayav shalosh chataot. He is obligated to bring 3 chataos. V'amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, says Reish Lakish, tolesh chayav mishum gozes, that plucking one is chayav, just like under the category of shearing. Kotem, chayav mishum mechatech. And smoothing, okay, is similar to a kind of cutting. Mamaret, chayav mishum mechak. Okay, and this, I'm sorry, I said kotem, which is snipping, is like chayav under cutting, and mamaret, okay, again, a kind of plucking threads, all right, is chayav mishum mimachek, is forbidden under the category of smoothing. Okay, now we go into the next example from, again, our Mishnah. Hakosher v'hamatir, one who ties a knot and who unties a knot. Okay, now it would appear that what we're talking about is not simply taking a piece of rope, okay, and tying it, but primarily tying these threads to some sort of loom, okay, or putting them through the parts of the loom. Ksheva b'mishkan hecha havai, tying knots in regards to the Mishkan. What was the circumstances? Amar Rava, says Rava, Shekain koshrin b'yetedot ahalim. That what they did is that they tied knots to the pegs, okay, for the tents. Right? So in other words, when they put the covering on, okay, koshrin, how kosher almanat lahatirhu. Okay, but wasn't that tying, okay, in a sense, shouldn't have that been permitted because they were knots that were tied for the purpose of later to be untied when they had to move. It wasn't a permanent knot. Abaye, but rather Abaye explains it, Shekain orge yuriot, shenifseka lahen mima, that those people who were the weavers of the curtains for inside the Mishkan, okay? If a thread were to break, right, what would they do? Koshrim ota, they would tie it. Amar le Rava, says Rava, taratzta kosher. Says Rava, fine, you came up with a solution in regards to tying knots. Matir mai ikalamema, for untying knots. What can you say? V'chitema, and if you want to say, de'i mitrame le tre chute kitre bahade hadade, sharichad v'katarchad, okay? Namely, if you want to say that if they permitted them, right, to, okay? In other words, if you wanted to indicate that two knots happen to come together, one untied and the other was left knotted, okay? Would that be, would share chad and one unchad, would that be permitted? Hashta lefnei melech basar v'dam ein osin king. Before a king of flesh and blood, you would not do that. In other words, you would not have a garment or something with some tied knots and some untied knots. Okay? Lefnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu osin. Okay, to do that for inside the Mishkan, where they were making these curtains primarily for the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, would they permit that? Would they even allow that to be done? Ela Amar Rava, says Rava, V'itema Rabbi Eli, and others say it was Rabbi Eli, Shekain Sadeh Chilazon Koshrin umatiri. He says, no, because there we see that it was those who caught the chilazon that they tied and untied. Okay? The chilazon, remember, was a kind of crustacean, a snail or animal, that the blood was used for dyeing the parts of the tabernacle, part of the Mishkan, right? And they would tie and untie their nets in order to capture the chilazon. Okay, going on, right? Hatofer shtei tfirot, one who ties 2 knots, right? V'halo kaima, says the Gemara specifically, but don't we say that they can't be permanent? They can't endure. Okay? Right? If it's not permanent, one shouldn't be punished. Amar Rava bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Vahu shekashran. Okay? This is a situation where he didn't simply sew 2 stitches, but he actually tied them. Okay, the 2 stitches. Hakorea almanat litfor, one who tears. Okay, so therefore they would endure. One who tears in order to sew. Kriya b'mishkan mihava. Was there any, kind of tearing in the items of the Mishkan? Rabba Rabbi Zera, the Amrei Travaihu, that the 2 of them say. We'll go over just a little bit on Ayin Hey. Okay, Shekain Yiri'ah Shenafal Ba Darna. If there was a worm or a moth that ate a hole in the curtain, right? Ko'in Ba V'tofrinota. They would, tear it a little wider in order to better be able to sew it up. Okay, just a drop more and then we'll finish today. All right? Amar Rav Zutra Bar Tuvia. Says Rav Zutra Bar Tuvia, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav. He gives 3 statements. Okay, number 1, Hamutach chut shel tfira b'Shabbat, one who tightens, okay, a thread from sewing, pulls the thread on the seam, for example, on Shabbat, chayav chatat, is chayav chatat. Number 2, v'halomed davar echad min hamagush, one who learns something from a Persian priest, a magician, is chayav mita, is subject to the death penalty. V'hayodea lechashev tkufot umazalot, and one who knows how to determine, to calculate the seasons and the constellations. Ve'eno choshev, and doesn't do such calculations. Asur l'saper himenu, one is forbidden to hold discussions and conversations with him. We're going to stop right there because the Gemara then goes into this discussion of why these 3 things stated by Rav Zutra ben Tuvia in Rav's name, what do they have to do? And then it will come back to the discussion of items of Avot Ulacha. So as I said, we'll stop here for today and pick up tomorrow. All right? So everybody stay well and have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, Rabbi. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rabbi. We even got into Tuvia.